If you want to know when the Bloxburg 2024 Christmas update could be coming, as well as any leaks, theories, and what to expect to return this year, then you are in luck because Detective Glossie is on the case. Hey glossettes, welcome back. How are you guys doing today? Tell me down below as usual. Now it's finally November and that means the Bloxburg Christmas update is getting closer and closer, and if you're anything like me then you're probably already wondering when it could possibly be, as well as what's going to be in this year's update. So today, just like I do every year, I'm going to hopefully be answering all of your questions as best as possible before the update comes. In this video, I'll be going over the release date for the update, any known leaks we have so far on the update, what you can expect this year including information on the elf hunt and things from previous years that will be returning, and then finally all of my theories on the update. And I'd normally say I have a pretty good prediction streak on these things. However, the Halloween update this year was very different to what we were expecting, so I feel like the theories based on what we did see in the Halloween update are going to be pretty interesting. But anyways, let's get straight into it and take a look at the Bloxburg Christmas update release date. Now if you've never watched my big update information videos before, then as usual I'm going to explain a little bit about how the update release dates work and how we can most of the time accurately predict when an update's gonna happen. To begin, for the past 2 years, pretty much every single update we've had has been on a Thursday, and this change began at the end of 2022 when Bloxburg was taken over by the new development team Coffee Stain. So since this change, it has actually made it so much easier to know when to expect an update because of the fact they always do it on Thursdays. Of course, there has been days when the game has updated on a Friday, for example, but all of these have pretty much been one-offs, like for example the September update, which was actually on a Friday instead of the Thursday the day before because they had kind of some delays and things like that. Overall, they're usually on Thursdays, more specifically the last Thursday of the month or the first Thursday of the month, which is more common with seasonal updates to have it at the beginning of the month instead, but it does depend, as like I'm going to say in a few seconds, last year's Christmas update was actually on the last Thursday of November instead of the first Thursday of December. So to work out the possible Christmas update date for this year, we are going to take into consideration the pattern of updates being on certain Thursdays, as well as the previous Christmas updates ranging from 2020 to 2023, and also this year's Halloween update release date, plus we also have to take into consideration the elf hunt, as well as how long the elf hunt usually actually lasts, and you'll find out why in just a moment. Anyways, first of all, last year's Christmas update was on Thursday, the 30th of November 2023, and this was the first Christmas update to ever be in November. We also got our first teaser for this Christmas update on the 23rd of November, which was exactly a week before the update dropped, and I just wanted to mention this as you should keep in mind we usually start seeing leaks kind of like a week or so before an update actually happens. In 2022, the update was on Friday the 9th of December. In 2021, the update was on Thursday the 9th of December, and then in 2020, the update was on Thursday the 10th of December. Now as you can see, all of these dates, except last year's of course, follow the pattern of either being on the first Thursday of December like we usually see updates happen, or they've been on the 9th of December, which has been the case for 2022 and 2021. Now the 9th of December is actually a relevant date we need to look at quickly, and this goes back to what I was saying about considering the elf hunt. If you've never heard of the elf hunt before, I will be explaining a bit about it towards the end of this video, but long story short, the elf hunt is an event that usually lasts for 16 days from the 9th of December until the 24th of December on Christmas Eve. So that is why the 9th of December is a relevant date, as in 2022 and 2021 the updates were added specifically on that day, most likely as that is when the elf hunt needs to begin. And this was the same for last year in 2023 as well. Although the update happened on the 30th of November instead of the 9th of December, we still didn't have the elf hunt start until the 9th of December, just like the previous years. This also meant that there was a gap in between the update dropping and the elf hunt starting, and they actually used this time to hype up the elf hunt by adding posters every few days around the map of the missing elves, and it did give them a really good week or so to tease it beforehand, which was really fun. The final thing I want to mention before we look at the release date for this year is this year's Halloween update, which was on Thursday the 3rd of October, and this was of course the first Thursday of the month in October. Basically, all of this information shows us that things always pretty much follow the same pattern, and of course we did see the Christmas update happen in November last year for the first time ever, which does kind of shake things up a little bit. However, we can still narrow down all of this information into the most possible date for the update this year, and of course that is exactly what I've done. So we're going to take a look at the 2 days which are the most likely dates we could be seeing the update happen in just a few weeks time. time. Now, starting off with our first possible date, this is very similar to last year's, and this is the last Thursday of November, which is the 28th. Now, if the Bloxburg development team chooses to keep doing the update at the end of November instead of December, like they did last year, then this is probably the date they'll do it, as it's the last Thursday of the month. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking, well, why not maybe the 30th of November again, like last year? And I do get comments about that a lot, kind of people being like, well, why wouldn't it be the exact same date as last year? And the reason that this is unlikely to be on the 30th again is because the 30th would be a Saturday and not a Thursday, and the Bloxburg development team are only working Mondays to Fridays. So they don't work on the weekends, therefore they don't drop updates on the weekends due to the fact that 1, they aren't working, and 2, even if they just scheduled it to update automatically, if that's even a thing they can do, they wouldn't be working that day and they wouldn't be able to deal with any bugs that may occur when the update drops. So yeah, I did just want to mention that today, that's pretty much why we don't get weekend updates or kind of Saturday updates anymore, as they're not actually working on those days. Anyways, back to what we were saying, the first very likely date is Thursday, the 28th of November, and part of me feels like this may be the most likely overall, as of course it's when the update dropped last year, it's the most similar to last year's, and going back to the elf hunt once again, it would leave a decent kind of week or so gap in between the elf hunt date, beginning on the 9th again. Adding on to this, Froggy Hops did clarify that there would be no update in the early part of November because of the fact they're focusing on the Christmas update, and in my opinion, it's pretty interesting that he specifically clarified that there wouldn't be an update in the early half of November and not in November overall, which to me means it's even more likely that the late half of November, aka the date we've just talked about, could be when the update does release. Anyways, if the update doesn't drop on that day, then the second most likely date, and really the only other possibility, is the first Thursday of December, which would be the 5th, and this would leave 4 days before the 9th when the elf hunt usually starts. Other than the 28th of November and the 5th of December, honestly, there's not really any other dates that are hugely likely. The next Thursday after that would be the 12th of December, but that would be too late in the month for the Christmas update to drop, so pretty much in my opinion, the window between the 28th and the 9th is the likely period for the update. But of course, the 28th and the 5th are the 2 days I'm 99% sure it'll happen, more so the 28th. The 5th is kind of just a backup date in case they do choose to once again have it at the beginning of December instead. So yeah, those are my predictions, and once again, as usual, these are just predictions. The release date is never confirmed beforehand, so all we can do is kind of make guesses like this, and so far I haven't really ever been wrong on a seasonal update prediction, so I have a good feeling about this one. Anyways, that was a lot of information to take in, but luckily the rest of the video should be easier to understand, as we're going to move on to the leaks, and then of course what we know will be added in the update this year, as well as all the theories. As you can probably guess, we don't actually have any leaks yet. However, we can expect to see leaks towards the last week or 2 of November, hopefully, and as soon as any leaks and teasers are posted, I will be doing a video on them where we analyze them and kind of spot every new hint and feature, so subscribe if you want to stay up to date with those. Anyways, despite the fact that we have no leaks, I can tell you what to expect with the Christmas update before we move on to theories, as every year we do get pretty much the same stuff added. Now, just like every year when the Christmas update gets added back into the game, the map will turn to snow and the snow weather will be added back too. We'll also see the return of all the previous Christmas items, all 17 seasonal foods. We'll also see the town get decorated for Christmas again, as well as the return of all of the seasonal locations like the ice rink, Tom's Tree Farm, the Santa photo opportunity, the sledding area, and possibly the elf hunt calendar area, and I'm only saying possibly as it was added for the first time last year for the event, so I'm not 100% sure how much the elf hunt will change this year, but it is likely there'll be some sort of calendar and little table for the elves again, as I think it was a really cool feature. Then finally, of course, we can expect the elf hunt to return for its 5th year in a row, and I mean, if they don't add the elf hunt, I think I'll probably cry, but yeah, we can expect that, and then also expect the Santa trophy to return as well. Now, for those of you who don't actually know a lot about the elf hunt and the Santa trophy, then I'm just going to explain a little bit for you, because we take the elf hunt very seriously over on this channel. So first, let's talk about the elf hunt. As you've probably worked out from this video, the elf hunt is a 16-day long event that runs from the 9th of December up to Christmas Eve on the 24th of December, and what happens is every day in between those dates, an elf will spawn in a certain location around the map. Once you've found the elf for that day, you then have to figure out what food or drink item the elf wants, and then once you give it the correct item, you'll get some Bloxburg cash until the very last elf on Christmas Eve, where you get some Bloxburgs and a trophy. Now, it sounds pretty simple, but a lot of people do get confused about how this works, and I personally do a video every single day showing the elf's location as soon as it it moves, and because of this, I usually get a lot of questions about it. And this is why, like every year, I'll also be doing an elf hunt guide video, which will basically tell you every single thing you need to know about the elf hunt in detail. So yeah, I won't go into it too much, but that is pretty much the basics of the elf hunt. It is just an event where you find elves every day, and it's super exciting. Anyways, moving on to the Santa trophy. This trophy is actually only available for like 3 days or something, from Christmas Eve to I think the 27th. And this is where at nighttime on random days in Bloxburg, Santa's sack will actually drop from the sky to somewhere random around the map. And if you pick it up, you get the Santa Sleigh trophy, which is another cool feature that once again I will be doing a tutorial on at the actual time. It's really cute and it's actually super hard to get sometimes. But anyways, that is all the stuff that we are certain will most likely be returning this year, just like every year. However, now it's time to think about what could be new this year. And considering how different the Halloween update was, I think we could be expecting big changes with the Christmas one too. So let's move on to theories. Now, I actually have quite a few theories this year because like I said, the Halloween update had a lot of new features, and I'm thinking that a lot of these could carry over to the Christmas update. We're first going to talk about the possible new items and foods that I think we could be seeing, and then we're going to move on to the more interesting things, like maybe a new Christmas minigame, a Christmas currency, new map locations, and a bit about the elf hunt this year too. But in terms of new foods and items, what I usually do for my predictions is I base these off other seasonal items, and this is because they usually make the same things, just different versions of them. For example, we've had Christmas cake pops, Halloween cake pops, and Valentine's cake pops, and I will say a good 50% of seasonal foods are like this, where it's just the same items made for the different seasons. We also have like Valentine's pillows, Christmas pillows, and Halloween pillows. Another big similarity is we have Christmas inflatables, Halloween inflatables, and Valentine's inflatables. So if I had to predict some Christmas items using this kind of method, then I think maybe we could see some Santa hat cookies, very similar to the new Halloween witch hat cookies. Maybe a Christmas jelly cat, as of course we got the Valentine's heart one, so maybe a Christmas version would be so cute. However, I did say this for Halloween, and obviously we didn't get one, but I just think it would be so adorable. Devs, please. One I think is definitely likely is to see Christmas neon signs, just like how we've got these new Halloween ones. Maybe some Christmas plant pots like the Halloween ones. Like, we got a lot of kind of new style of items in the Halloween update that it would make sense to get a Christmas version of. Maybe some Christmas shaped candles as well. I think like little Christmas trees or something would just be so adorable, or like pine cones, I don't know. Also, we normally always get a new vehicle for Christmas, and one that's been requested for so many years now from players is a car or a truck that actually has a Christmas tree on top. So maybe we could see that, or just some sort of kind of Christmassy car like you see on Christmas cards, kind of more like a vintage car. Or we could even go crazy and see a sleigh vehicle, which is also something that people have been talking about for a few years, but I personally think this is quite an unlikely vehicle to have because it is pretty unrealistic. But saying that, we also did get a couch car, so I don't know, maybe it's possible. Looking outside of proper theories based on existing content, in general, I would love to see more classic Christmas items, like maybe eggnog or Christmas pudding, or like a proper Christmas dinner, but I feel like that's more of a British thing, to be honest. It would also be cool to have more kind of cozy decorations and maybe more winter type items and home decor that's more neutral and not as Christmassy. I'd also love to see kind of like a classic tinsel garland we can use that looks kind of like this on screen now, and a more detailed Christmas tree would also be super cool, and an advent calendar as well. I feel like having a little chocolate advent calendar where every day you can kind of take a chocolate out of it would be so adorable, and it would be even cooler if they made the chocolate in like Christmas shapes. Going back to existing content that could kind of be expanded on, we did get these mini buildings last year, these two here, the town hall and the pizza planet, and it gives a vibe of, you know, those kind of like mini Christmas villages people have. So maybe it would also be super cute if they gave us maybe another two this year, and slowly we can have kind of like our own mini Christmas towns. I'd also love to see some kind of winter furniture, maybe kind of like a log cabin based furniture or kind of like old farm style. I am desperate to see kind of like a vintage type oven. I think it's so Christmassy. Of course, for Halloween we kind of have like the Victorian furniture, so yeah, I feel like we should have some more kind of like cozy Christmassy furniture too. I'd love to see kind of like an old fireplace as well. And another random one is snacks, like maybe like little chocolate Santas and things like that, just more kind of like Christmassy snacks, I don't know. But anyways, moving on before I get too distracted, we're going to talk about the possibility of a new Christmas minigame and Christmas currency, as well as like the map locations and stuff like that. Now you may be wondering, Glossie, what do you mean by a Christmas game? And just hear me out, okay? So of course for the Halloween update we got the ghost busting minigame, which was super fun, and we also got the ticket currency to go with it. And although some things about the update were controversial, like having to use tickets to buy certain items, I think everyone can agree it was definitely so much fun to have more of a purpose to play the game by collecting tickets for a trophy photography and having a fun mini game to play as well. So I do feel like because that was so successful and a lot of people really enjoyed it, that we could kind of get a Christmas version of this, like a Christmas mini game. Maybe about delivering presents or kind of making presents like little elves, or some sort of like ski-mobile race course, or like a snow fight arena. I don't know, but there is so many kind of Christmas possibilities they could do to have a Christmas mini game. And on top of this, maybe a Christmas form of the ticket currency would also be cool, although I'm not too sure how it would work because obviously we wouldn't have the trick-or-treating aspect of it this time. But yeah, I do think maybe the features we saw in Halloween could be translated over to the Christmas update in some way, and this would give players more fun things to do on top of everything else that the Christmas update usually does. And we have to think as well, the Christmas update brings back so many old players. Like, I know so many of you guys who only watch my channel at Christmas time and you only play the game at Christmas time, so I feel like it would give you guys more to do as well. In terms of possible new map locations, I would love to see kind of like a Christmas version of the Plenty of Pumpkins farm, like something in the back of the map, maybe like a Christmas market or something. I feel like we need kind of like a more central kind of Christmas location. And of course, if we do get a Christmas mini game, they have to build a location for that too, so it would make sense for them to kind of have a new location this year. And that's pretty much everything I can think of. So last but not least, we are going to talk about the elf hunt theories. Now, the elf hunt has pretty much been the same for every single update up until last year's, where they kind of changed it to be more of kind of like a publicly known event. And of course, they also made the new edition of the advent calendar at Town Hall, as well as the Elder Elf. And what the advent calendar actually did was the day after each elf was released, it would actually open up and give you a clue to the previous elf's location. And the Elder Elf was also at the start of the event, where to begin participating in the elf hunt, you had to speak to the Elder Elf and give him a cookie first. And then we also had this little tiny table where each elf would go and sit after you found it. Now, these were all the new features as of last year that they added for the elf hunt, and the calendar was kind of confusing at the start, but definitely useful if you needed extra help finding the elf a day later. However, I think we all know that some people do complain each year that the elf hunt is kind of repetitive, although they still enjoy it, so maybe this year they can mix it up a little bit. I think it's so much fun and it brings so many people together to kind of find this elf every day, and it's not overcomplicated either. They could kind of add in a few more unique features, but still keep the classic style of the elf hunt, so maybe they could do like harder food combinations and different ways to get the elf. I don't know, I really don't want them to change it too much, but I think it would be fun to have more features in it. Like, for example, last year we saw some of the elves were actually angry elves that would prank you and turn you into Christmas decorations or something. So they could do more things like that, where the elves are actually different versions of elves. So we could have the normal ones, the angry ones, maybe we could have baby ones, or ones that kind of ran around instead of staying still, so you actually had to catch them. I don't know, I think there's a few ways that you could make it more creative, but at the end of the day, the elf hunt regardless is still so much fun, so I honestly don't mind if it just stays the same every single year. But I think that's everything. I honestly struggled to come up with theories this year because the Halloween update has kind of made me a bit worried that things aren't going to be the same, which obviously isn't a bad thing. I think it's great that we're getting more unique updates, but obviously it's also just harder for us to predict. But that is everything we know so far about the update, and obviously hopefully we will be seeing some teasers for it pretty soon. Like I said before, I will be doing videos analyzing all of the leaks, as well as videos on all of the elves this year and an elf hunt guide. So if you're interested in any of that, please make sure to subscribe. I try not to say it often, but I'm getting so close to 100,000 subscribers, which is so insane, and I would really appreciate it if you decided to join our community, especially as I'll be posting daily for Glossmas on top of the elf hunt, so there's a lot of Christmas content for you to enjoy this year. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. Let me know if I missed anything. I will leave anything that I have missed on the pinned comment, and make sure you do comment down below any theories that you guys have. I'm so excited for the Christmas update, and I will see you all later on this week for an elf hunt video. But I love you all so much, Glossettes. As usual, a huge thank you to my channel members and Nitro boosters who'll be on screen now. Thank you so much for joining the channel and boosting the Discord server, and I will see you all later. XOXO, Glossy Girl.